What's up? What's up? Another day leveled up. What's up? What's up? Another day leveled up. Got the topic of the year. Don't you fear, we got the topic of the year. Semen retention. What's up, guys? Nice to see you. We are talking about semen retention today and the spiritual side of this big topic. I feel like has been the topic of this year and the past year. It's gaining a lot more traction, but I want to get into the real behind the scenes details that a lot of us aren't aware of and that I find really, really super interesting. And let's get into it. But I'm gonna light the honorary Palo Santo, and yeah, let's start. So I wrote down a lot of things as well, because I wanted to make sure I'm able to convey all this in a proper order for you guys. So it took me a bit to make some notes here, so bear with me if I'm flipping through a few things throughout this video. But it's all to convey this to you guys in the best way possible, and not just be going back and forth and squandering, having my mind in a whatever, So let's start this off. So with semen retention, I think a lot of people are wrapped up in the woman attraction and the physical improvements we could get from this, but there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. And I'm going to get into that. And I also get a lot of questions, especially with women that I talk to. How could they go about getting the same benefit? And it's different. There's ways women can practice this, but as us men, we do it through the process that yogis call brahmacharya, and that's just the preservation of your seed. But as a woman, their eggs go through a cycle, and if they're not used, they lose them. But as us men, our seed, it's just reabsorbed, so it's a different process. But I'm gonna get through this quote, a few quotes here that describe this process, and I'm gonna get into a lot more scientific and spiritual details through some books and things I found, so bear with me. So this quote says, "The anointing is the secretion, a substance once named chrism, the origin of the word Christ being anointing and anointed. The Christ within us all is born in the sacral plexus, sacred place, where the five fused vertebrae of the spine meet. The Christ seed is born here and begins its journey up the 33 vertebrae to be crucified, amplified power. When it meets the pituitary and pineal glands, after spending 3 days in the hypothalamus, the tomb, it creates a circuit causing the secretion of the DMT, honey, and serotonin, milk. When the seed and oil is preserved in return, you in short reach the promised land and become the perfect antenna for prayer. You walk through the gates of nirvana." Crazy. I don't think I could put it into better words myself. But Eckhart Tolle tries, and he does a really good way of putting this in the perspective of it as consciousness as well. And he calls it Christ consciousness. He speaks on it in the book Power of Now. I recommend you read, and he speaks of this as well in the book of his called New Earth. So this quote from him reads, "All religions are equally false and equally true, depending on how you use them. You could use them in the service of the ego, or you could use them in the service of truth. If you believe only your religion is the truth, you are using it in the service of the ego. Used in such a way, religion becomes ideology and creates an illusory sense of superiority as well as division and conflict between people. In the service of the truth, religious teachings represent signposts or maps left behind by awakened humans to assist you in the spiritual awakening, that is to say, in becoming free of identification with form. There's only one absolute truth, and all truths emanate from it. When you find that truth, your actions will be in alignment with it. Human action can reflect that truth, or it can reflect illusion. Can the truth be put into words? Yes, but the words are, of course, not it. They only point to it. The truth is inseparable from who you are. Yes, you are the truth. If you look for it elsewhere, you will be deceived every time. The very being that you are is truth. Jesus tried to convey this when he said, I am the way and the truth and the life. These words uttered by Jesus are one of the most powerful and direct pointers to the truth, if understood correctly. If misinterpreted, however, they become a great obstacle. Put in the great words again. I feel sometimes we need a story, and the imagery of the story sometimes helps get a point across, but a lot of the time it throws us off track into what's trying to be conveyed. So religion is good, but like you said, it could get you in many directions. And I want to get into another crazy thing you guys could look up is Jim Carrey. He speaks on this in an interview. And he talks about the process of this, and it's like the Christ oil. And he explains Jesus was a man, and the Christ is the Kundalini rising in the spine. And there's 33 vertebrae in the spine. And there's also 33 years of life in Jesus. The part of the brain called the medulla, it looks like wings on the Ark of the Covenant as well, which is pretty crazy. And the medulla secretes this fluid, and it makes a trip down your spine to the sacrum, which is the Christ coming down. And also the story of Santa Claus, which is pretty crazy. With Santa Claus coming down the chimney, going back up, it's the CBF, cerebral spinal fluid, coming down the brain to called the claustrum. It passes this, going up and down the spine, going up and down the chimney. There's a book called The Science of Sacred Secretion that goes into this as well. So let's see here, and a few interesting things I've written down I'm going to get into. And I'm going to get into this just good quote from it because it explains how crazy and how far we've gone. It says, evidence shows historic humans were far more conscious 6,000 years ago, before TV and computers. Back then, our main form of communication was through ESP, interpretation of vibrations, clairvoyance, and telepathy, much like most living things today. Animals, they don't need to talk to know what the other's feeling or even create a culture and live amongst each other cordially. They don't even need to speak words, which is crazy. But where have we gone wrong? We've been so brought in a whole other direction that language came about. There's different languages. We're so far off that we don't even know how to communicate with people of our own species because there's a barrier of language, which is crazy. And that's where the pineal gland comes into play, and conspiracies of it being calcified, and they're trying to calcify our pineal gland. And over-sexualized society comes into play because all these things literally take us away from our true nature. And back to the claustrum thing I was talking about, scientists describe the claustrum as almost enigmatic. They still don't know what it does. The crazy thing about it is it also has the highest number of neuronal connections to the brain, and yet scientists still don't know what it does. That's crazy. A lot of things in our life we're led to believe that everyone knows the answers of, but a lot of people are still trying to figure things out. And they say the sacred secretion happens once a month, 12 times a year. So It's like the cycle when you're retaining every 30 days, you definitely feel a difference each month. And I still haven't gotten a full year, but I can only imagine how different life would feel. So also with this secretion and everything going back and forth and the cycle of it all, and you're reabsorbing all this, it activates the spiritual self and reconnects the spiritual person to the universal energy, this book says. We become more sensitive to the energies around us and more aware of our reality. Like I said, we become so desensitized with TV and computers, and that's another thing. We can't even pick up on the energies around us as far as Wi-Fi and our phone radiation. There's warnings on our phone, in our phone, that we could find that say, do not sleep with your phone, do not keep with your phone so close to you at all times. And that's where this 5G comes in too. It's so more powerful than anything we've dealt with up till now. And we're already so desensitized to it that it's just another cell phone tower. And we had to be aware that these frequencies can disrupt us and our energetic beings, which we are. In the book, it also says, with this energy, it's crazy. Conscious guardian angels may be able to interact with us easier. We become clairvoyant and psychic. And I think it's crazy because every ancient spiritual religion and traditions have stories of people talking to supernatural entities and getting information from them. And Moses with the burning bush, you have the Hindu sages and all their gods and things, and even Muhammad, the prophet, I feel like they were all being able to get divine downloads. This has me convinced that you'll be blessed with awareness and improve your life as well as others when you allow this energy to cycle through you and be a conduit, pretty much. Let's see here. They say in this book, this energy also influences electromagnetic frequencies within our physical world. And I immediately think of Nikola Tesla. This dude was a celibate into his last, however many years before death. And this dude was able to conduct electricity at a point that no one could even fathom, that it looked magic. And I feel like Tesla and many spiritual greats were gifted with divine downloads of information. And Tesla talks of the superconscious and the Akashic records. And I feel like this is like a point of entry to get this information. And the tales of being visited by angels and all this, I feel like they're just conduits, and their antennas, their vibration's so high that these supernatural entities or angels are able to actually talk to them, because it's on a whole other vibration and awareness they have to hear these entities, which is crazy. Sounds insane, but this is what, not just I am saying, but what these books and the ancient traditions talk about. And due to this, it says we're more susceptible also to synchronicities, often coming to us in form of repeated numbers. They call them angel numbers. I've been telling you guys about this in a few of my videos in the past. It says seeing them more and more, and you'll start to understand you're on the right path. Whenever I see them now, I just feel like a comfort, and I feel I'm on the right path as well. But I also like to think of it like the movie The Matrix. I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you haven't, definitely watch that movie. But in the movie, Neo gets all these different signs, and he's contacted through glitches and numbers by Morpheus and Trinity. There's so many crazy religious and spiritual references throughout the whole movie. From the start of the movie, there's so many spiritual references. So definitely watch that, because Like I said, sometimes the imagery helps you interpret and get what these religious things and science try to talk about. It's crazy. But yeah, you got to trust your instincts. Neo does it the same in the movie. Messages you receive with this increase of intuition, you got to learn to trust. And let's see here. Yeah, and in short, the sacred secretion is the name given to the scientific description of the physical release of DMT and the spiritual description of Jesus. But by preserving the seed, it gives you the opportunity to, once you preserve the seed, you give it opportunity to grow within us. And it gives us life and illumination. It gives us a shine to the outer world, this physical realm and realms above us, to be contacted and give divine downloads of information and help yourself out as well as everyone else. And this could be conveyed through your art and your business and life in general. The things I would say to practice this and help cultivate this as well would be, for one, meditation, because quieting your mind, it allows you to hear your intuition. It allows you to become more sensitive to the energies around you. Like I've said before, living alone now, I don't hear anything unless I turn something on. The TV's not on. Nobody in my household's turning the TV on or turning the music on until I do. Number two, I'd say decalcify your pineal gland. There's many ways you could try to do that. And one is, first off, getting a fluoride water filter. Definitely, you got to filter your water. You got to be drinking the best water. What is it, 75%, whatever, more than half of our body is water. So it blows my mind people do not drink enough water, for one. More iodine in diet. Make sure you're getting more sun. Make sure you're eating things that sun gives life to, a lot of fruits, a lot of greens, and avoiding dairy and alcohol. Making sure you're not depleting your energy through sex. Excess sex. Sex is good, but in excess amounts, like we said, what are we even doing here? This goes back on retaining. You gotta allow this energy to absorb and grow, and nurture this energy. But all this is so intriguing to me, guys. And I feel everything I'm saying should be put to the test as well. And I hope this all resonated with you guys, because I feel this is our true nature and we've just been rocked asleep to it. And I've said it and I said it again. My channel isn't a semen retention channel. There's a lot of topics I'll touch on, but this is one that I feel needs to be brought awareness to, because a lot of things are going on behind the scenes that we aren't aware to. And I feel we need to know the groundwork first in order for things to flourish. So with that said, like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I drop more content. And if this quote, my outro, doesn't give any more importance to this, but a belief may be comforting, but only through true experience could be liberating. Grant yourself permission to level up. Until next time, it's your boy Salem.